The following presentation is for mature audiences only.
Who are you?
He's a fine man.
All hell is broken loose.
He's a great broadcaster.
He's a very powerful guy. Absolutely brilliant.
Feared by men, adored by women.
He's a smart boy.
It's patriotic.
It's no big deal.
It's the end of the world.
I might as well tell you now. He's a monkey.
And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? Welcome into another edition of The Wild Side with Eric Clark. I am your not at all humble host, Eric Clark, coming to you from the wild side of Music City, saying thank you for taking time out of your busy day, solving the world's problems, and shopping for your last-minute Christmas gifts to give this a listen and a watch. If you like it, like it. If you think other people are going to like it, go ahead and give it a quick share. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're linked up with me on all of my social media. It's not that hard to find. All you have to do is search Eric Clark or The Wild Side, and you'll pop it up, and then you hit share or subscribe or friend or link or whatever's on your phone or what you're using. And that way we can get connected. If you have something you want me to talk about, a video you want me to react to, which is what today is going to be, or if you have a Florida story or something like that you want my thoughts on, by all means, that's the best way to get it to me, is by linking up with me on social media. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. That way we can grow the channel. The more the channel grows, the more content that we can provide. I've kind of linked up with my friend over at Renegades of Puck. Give them a follow as well, especially if you're a hockey fan. If you're a hockey fan and you're looking for what I can only describe as the most real hockey analysis, you're going to get it from Renegades of Puck. A lot of times when you watch other shows, podcasts, or whatever, their first and foremost priority is not the team, the fan, the play on the ice. It's usually, I've got to maintain my connection, my relationship with the media people at this franchise. It's across sports. We're all tired of it. Renegades of Puck, my good friend Crazy Charlie, fellow Jersey kid, he's from the north where they had grass, so it's a little different area. But he probably gives the most real, brutally honest, yet not really. And anyway, just make sure you're giving Renegades of Puck a follow. I'm linked up with him as well. Every game day, they're streaming on Twitch, so make sure you give him a follow as well. Like he's saying, the more you subscribe, the more we grow. And Renegades gave me an idea where I'm gonna try to find some mobile video capability, take us out to the Henry James where I throw darts on the weekends. I'll be there tonight, by the way. Tonight, starting at 6, as I do on the weekends, we go for our drafts and darts, or darts and drafts. I take my throwy Sharpies, I go down there, have a beverage, throw darts, have conversations. And Charlie gave me the idea to start doing that down there, just standing there with my interviewer and throwing darts and having the interview. So we're going to start looking into that as well. He gave me a really good idea. But the more people we can get subscribed to the channel, the more content I can provide, and the more the show will grow. And before we get into today's show, which was suggested to me by somebody, one of my good friends, Rick, he wanted me to react to a video on YouTube, and that led me to the video I'm reacting to today. So I'm sorry, dude. I'm not reacting to the actual video you wanted me to react to. I'm reacting to one that was linked to the one you sent me. So hopefully that's good enough. But anyway, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to the people that make the Wild Side possible. First and foremost, Dr. David Zeman and his staff at Aspen Dental in Madison have basically saved my life. My mouth is my life, and without it, I didn't feel I existed. And Dr. David Zeman and his staff up at Aspen Dental in Madison, Joanna, the business manager, solved all my problems. No complaints, no issues. I could not be happier. Anyone who has said anything about my smile or how I look or how I've changed in my attitude. I've directed them there. So it's one of those things. I'm looking better. I'm feeling better. I'm eating better. And that's just making me an all-around nicer person. And I know it would surprise a lot of you to hear me say that. I also want to thank Rick and the gang at Connect 200. They make sure that everything's coming to you at a high speed and at a quality rate. And they are my IT concierge. Any issues I have with my computer, my network, my security, all I do is call Rick and the gang at Connect 200, and they take care of me. Any repairs you need, any computer you need built. I told you last time I was watching him build this gaming computer, and I almost wish I gamed enough to want one of those because it looked awesome. I just think it's a little too much, and that, as he said, it's a little too much power than what you need. I would need like a lot of fans, and it would make noise and stuff. But anyway, so make sure you contact Rick and the gang at Connect 200, 615-530-2321. That way you're connected as well as I am. Even Crazy Charlie from Renegades of Puck got a hold of Rick and had him build a tower for him. That way he can get his video and his show to you guys at a high quality as well. So Rick and the gang at Connect 200 are the personal IT concierge of at least 2 video podcasts here in Music City. So give them a call, 615-530-2321. That is Rick and the gang at Connect 200. Again, make sure you're connected with me on all of my social media. I've got them posted right there, I think is where it is, or right, where am I? Right here. Okay, there we go. It's posted down there. I change my mind so often, it's insane that I even know where any of my logos are. But again, link up with me on social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram. Instagram, it's real funny how I watch the different interactions of people on the different social media platforms. And there's definitely a difference between what you're getting on Facebook, or what you're getting on Twitter, and what you're getting on Instagram. And Instagram for me is just about pictures. I don't post stories. I don't do anything like that. I just post photos of where I am. That's what it is. It's a instant photo. Here, follow me on Instagram, see pictures of what I'm doing. Facebook is more like keeping up with my family, and my family's getting photos of my kids and life updates and birthdays and, marketplaces and, hey, I've got this little rally we're going to on the weekend. Check it out. It's a very supportive community. Although sometimes Twitter bleeds into Facebook, and Twitter is basically a room full of monkeys spinning in a circle high on cocaine, flinging their shit at everybody. That's pretty much what Twitter is, at least in my estimation. That's what it is. But I do dig that there's a definite energy separation among the social media platforms. How people, the same people, you'll read a post on Facebook, and it's one disposition, and then you see them post on Twitter, and it's something completely different. And this week I was going to get into a couple of things that have happened locally. For example, we had a situation where yet another wealthy, out-of-touch individual pretty much wrecked their own career by telling Kentucky that they deserved the tornadoes because they voted for Trump or something absolutely stupid. You read it, I mean, even when you go down, it's unavailable. She completely deleted it. It's a director who created the show Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Was this person's name Noel or Novell or something like that? But she did the whole, hey, Kentucky, you had it coming. And I guess we haven't, people's memories are so short, because that guy in Florida, I think it was a University of South Florida professor in Tampa. He had made a comment a few years ago when hurricanes hit Texas. I remember he made a comment about, "Hey, it's what you get, you Republican, red, MAGA, one of those people." And next thing you know, he's canned, loses tenure and everything. So I guess people just don't learn. I didn't want to get into that because that's a very heavy subject, especially around here, because I'm still we had the tornado come through a couple days ago, the one that hit Mayfield, and it kind of triggered me. It really did. It put me ill at ease, because when the last series of tornadoes came through, they missed my house by about a block and a half. And when I tell people that, they think that there's like this imaginary line, like there's some imaginary barrier between the tornado proper and where it's cutting its path, and its immediate circle of influence, if you will. And we were in that circle of influence, and I'm going to be honest with you, there was about an 8-second period during that one where I was kind of freaked out. So when the next one came through, it kind of triggered me. So I didn't want to get into that, even though I just did. And again, I'm trying to get to the content that's suggested to me by my audience. So again, my buddy Rick, he said, hey, I want you to do a reaction video to this series of, I think it was more commercials. He wanted me to hit a couple of more commercials videos. He had sent me a link to one. So I thought, I'll check that out. And then as I was watching it over on the side, because you fall into that YouTube rabbit hole, don't you? You fall into that, oh, let's see what this is about. Well, I really want to learn about the Battle of Agincourt done with Lego. I won't sit down and read an actual book about the Battle of Agincourt. I would instead rather sit here and watch it be done in Lego. That's kind of the rabbit hole you fall into. Well, into this rabbit hole I fell, and I found 20 rock stars who were in Miami Vice. Now, for those of you that are too young to remember, which I hope is not a lot, I really hope that there are those of you watching this who are of my kinship as far as generationally going. We tend to forget, and I don't think people have really recognized the massive influence of the TV show Miami Vice. And I think Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx had a lot to do with that. And not them, but the movie. Anytime you take a classic, or what people believe to be a classic, an iconic thing, it kind of watered it down just a little bit. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've said this before. If you go back and watch a lot of these iconic shows like The A-Team, Miami Vice, you'll see that they're pretty, they're not good. They're not good. The sets, the acting, the writing, it's really not good. But this was a period of time when style started to overtake substance. This was the early 80s when MTV was kicking in, and Miami Vice was actually a vehicle for a lot of artists that were coming up. So it wasn't surprising to see rock stars, people, that guys in this show. This show was a massive show, not just how shows were written, police procedurals, detective shows, buddy cop shows. This was the epicenter of it. It really was. The popularity of Philip Michael Thomas and Don Johnson together in that setting in South Beach, taking care of drug dealers and driving their cigarette boats in their Ferraris. I think it was a Ferrari, right? Yeah, like a 68 Ferrari or something like that. And Philip Michael Thomas drove and I'm probably going to see it in the video. I haven't watched this, so I want to be able to react as cold as possible. But I think he drove a Lamborghini, a white Lamborghini. I'm not sure. For some reason in my head, I have it that he's driving a white Lamborghini. But this show, from 1983, 82 to 1986, you walk into any high school in Florida, and every dude is dressed in linen coats with linen baggies, a tank top, and penny loafers or some kind of dress shoe and no socks. Do you even understand how bad everything smelled in the 80s? Between the suntan oil, the Sun-In, the Jerry curl juice, people not wearing socks, the amount of hairspray that was used, combine all those chemicals together. That's what a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about time travel. They don't talk about what it would smell like and how overpowering it would be to your modern senses. Like if you went back into the 1800s, do you even understand how bad that would smell? Anyway, Miami Vice was monstrous. It was so big. It's funny, this video, 20 rock stars who appeared on Miami Vice, 2 of them are in the lead. 2 of them are actually in the lead in the show. Philip Michael Thomas had multiple. He was like I think those records were like a Caribbean jazz fusion. He did a duet album with a very established Caribbean artist, I believe. But Philip Michael Thomas was legit, or he thought he was legit. He was. He was legit up until he took over for Dionne Warwick on the Psychic Friends Network. I swear to God. I think he did. I think he took over for Dionne Warwick on the Psychic Friends Network. But yeah, he released 3 albums. And let's talk about Don Johnson. Don Johnson released an album in 85. I think it was 1985. He released an album called Heartbeat. And this album, and again, we can look back on this nostalgically and say, oh, it was cheesy, it was dopey, it was whatever it was. And Don Johnson was not a good singer. He wasn't. I mean, when that video, just go to YouTube and watch Heartbeat by Don Johnson. You'll see that, it really does match what we think of it now. It's, oh, I can't believe I was into that. But we were into it. This is something, if you're young, your parents will deny this. People were into Don Johnson's album Heartbeat. It was a good album. The album had, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of those records where half the people that were on it were in the show, and the other half of the people would absolutely surprise you. If I'm not mistaken, Stevie Ray Vaughan is on that album. Right? Like, that's how legitimate this was. This album went to, I gotta remember my Billboard. It was in the top 10. I think the album was in the top 10, and the song I know was a top 5 song. I don't think it got number 1, but I think it was in the top 5. It was played all over MTV. You couldn't swing a jelly shoe in the 1980s and 1985 and not see the video for Don Johnson's Heartbeat. And it was legit. I know you're embarrassed about it now, people my age, but there's some terms we have to come to about our generation, and we're going to see it in this video, like our fashion. Don't deny it. I've seen your yearbooks. I have the yearbooks. You can't deny any of this. This is what we look like. We took so many fashion cues from MTV and Miami Vice. And again, I'm not saying it was a good show. It wasn't L.A. Law. It wasn't St. Elsewhere. It wasn't any of those really well-written, well-acted shows. It wasn't. But it fed the masses in a way that nothing had before. It was slick. It was cool. It was metropolitan, if that makes any sense. It was just, like I said, it was a massive TV show, and I think we forget a lot about how massive Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas's influence really was. So let's get into it. This is 20 rock stars who appeared on Miami Vice, and any information or anything I have to say about it. Let's see who they consider to be rock stars. Glenn Frye, because he is... This is his introduction. If he becomes a regular, he becomes, I think he becomes their little smuggler guy, the little, I think he becomes like, someone help me out. I think he becomes like their pilot. Does that make any sense?
Tucker Smith sent us. Yeah, what about?
Buy some transportation. Yeah? From where to where? Columbia and back.
See? No socks.
You guys gonna be packing?
No socks.
Hey, what we're carrying is our business, my man. Well, fine. I ask you no questions, you tell me no lies, right?
Okay, Tom.
Again, nobody is claiming that any of this is like, Emmy Award winning. I think Edward James Olmos, when you watch this show, Edward James Olmos acts so well in his role that it does make everybody kind of look worse by comparison. Wasn't Chris Penn in this?
Tommy, what's the story this time?
Sonny boy, are you familiar with the expression, a carburetor is like a good woman?
Tommy.
A carburetor is like a good woman because If you don't make constant, delicate adjustments, she'll choke you to death.
That is Annie Golden. Annie Golden is a pioneer punk rocker. Annie Golden was in a band called The Shirts. All female. They were in a band called The Shirts. And I know this because she is featured on this. She's on the, one of her songs was in 16 Candles. Yeah. So, yeah, that is Annie Golden. 16 Candles? I think it was 16 Candles, a song called Hang Up the Phone. It was either The Shirts or just Annie Golden solo, but that's who that is. So she is a legit rock star. I'll give her that. She is a pioneer in rock, one of the first all-female punk bands like the Slits, somebody like that. O'Neal. Is that Ryan O'Neal? Is that Ryan O'Neal? That's not Ryan O'Neal in Miami Vice, is it? Is it? Jan Hammer. Jan Hammer did the theme song. So it's totally appropriate that he's in this, that he was a wedding keyboard player in Miami Vice.
She'll choke you to death.
That's awesome. That's Ryan O'Neal, isn't it? His daughter's getting married, and Jan Hammer is the keyboard player. Tommy Capello. That's him. Okay. I hate that I know this. Tommy Capello is the guy who is shirtless and oiled up playing the giant saxophone in Tina Turner's videos, We Don't Need Another Hero, and I think from the Mad Max Beyond, from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and I think he was in Thunderdome. Was he in Thunderdome? But that's who that is. Tommy Capello, saxophone player. That's a saxophone player. Yes, the guy who's basically shooting an Uzi from atop a white horse on the cover of a romance, very violent romance novel, is Tim Capello. Tim Capello, that's right, sorry. But yeah, that's the sax player from Tina Turner. And I knew that because of movies and shows that he's been in, and they make that connection all the time. Yeah, Tim Capello, the oiled up saxophone ponytail guy. Yeah, that is, look at him. That is 80s right there. Not a sleeve in sight.
What are you doing? Get your head on the bar. Head on the bar. When I say head on the bar, I mean...
Chef.
Chill out, bro.
Street says you got something that belongs to us, Holiday, some guns.
You better try some other turf, because I don't know nothing about no guns, man.
I hate the ads. They're killing me.
You are not walking away from this, man.
Wrong again.
So, first off, Isaac Hayes. Not only was he the Hayes of the Roberts Hayes team writing dynamic duo coming out of Stax Music in Memphis, he was also the recorder. Isaac Hayes, #1 hits all over the place. But you're wanting me to think the guy who wrote Shut Your Mouth, Shaft, just got punked by the guy who did Heartbeat. That's where this show was. Again, when it was on and when you're watching it, you're like, oh, yeah, man, slap that guy around. Yeah, you're running guns. He's undercover. But, yeah, you want me to believe that the guy who did Heartbeat is the guy who's punking out the guy who did Shaft. I don't know, man. I think it would have been more believable had Philip Michael Thomas done this than Feathered Boa.
Wrong answer, pal.
Look at that. Look at that hair, man.
You got something that belongs to us, Holiday, some guns.
You better try some.
Look at that. You know, you would think something too, it's kind of like the A-Team. It's like, how do you not find them? The same thing with Miami Vice. Like, how are you undercover for that long? Not just in drugs, but this is an arms deal. They've been, like, are the criminals really that dumb? Like, you haven't figured out that the white guy and the black guy that drive the Ferrari and the Lambo and has a boat with a crocodile? that doesn't catch up to you at some point? I'm just really shocked by that.
Some other Turk, cause I don't know
He had a crocodile on his boat, right? Right? Yeah.
nothing about no guns, man.
First season. Elvis? Am I going to have to look this up? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Sonny Crockett had a crocodile or a gator on his boat named Elvis. You just put Isaac Hayes through a pinball machine?
You're not walking away from this, man.
Wrong again.
Looking for a distributor?
Stuff's
Gene
hot in
Simmons.
Miami, man.
Come on.
A sudden glut in the local market, and the Miami-Dade regulars.
See, at this point, the show had taken off.
Our profiles to memory.
So in the later seasons, you're going to see a far greater
The
participation.
only west I deal with is the west side of New York. The man you want is Jimmy Borges.
What do you think?
New York?
That is Billy Ocean playing in the background.
The west side of New York. The man you want is Jimmy
Caribbean
Borges.
Queen.
What do you think?
New York?
Yes.
This has to be.
And that's when the song was coming out. So, again, it's just there was so much connected for like a couple year period here. It's just crazy how influential this was and how we forget how it was. But yet it was really very bad. It was always about style over substance. It really was. It was indicative of the entire art world at this point in the 80s. Everything was getting this way. Everything. And Don Johnson's album hitting number 10 on the Billboard chart is proof of that. It wasn't because of Don Johnson being a simmering vocalist. It's because he was doing a Tom Petty song or a Bob Seger song, and he had Stevie Ray Vaughan playing the guitar and Willie Nelson and his harmonica guy, and probably Tim Capello playing saxophone, shirtless and oiled up. That's Leonard Cohen, by the way. If you don't know that on sight.
C'est toi? On a trouvé bandé aux
That's right, he was a
États-Unis.
French gangster.
Oui, elle a volé de morphine. J'imagine qu'il va le rendre. Il doit être assassiné.
It does look like it, though, doesn't he?
Tu vas à Miami maintenant.
I think he could get away with that. I think Leonard Cohen could get. I mean, it looking like that, he could. He does look like one of those subtly mean, scary French guys.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Look, there was about a 5-year period in the 80s, and it was after the movie. There was this resurgence of 50s nostalgia in the late 70s, early 80s. And look, I'm telling you, Little Richard was dragged out everywhere, starting somewhere around like the Love Boat time, Happy Days time, going in through the 80s. He kind of stopped once it got to the point where it was like, okay, now you look like a plastic doll. You literally look like, and plus you're this big. So once he started to look like a Mattel toy, he stopped. But there was like a 5-year, 10-year run there where Little Richard was like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He was in everything. That song playing is Baba O'Reilly by The Who. Check it out.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah,
Nobody
okay.
takes my action. Nobody takes my
And
action.
he's, so Phil,
Look, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding here.
yeah. Is this done on purpose? Where he says, I think there's been a misunderstanding there, and it says Kira Sedgwick? How did Kira Sedgwick not win an Emmy for her portrayal as Phil Collins? That's not Kira Sedgwick. That's Phil Collins. And he was also one of those transition guys. And there's a rule. There's this 33 1/3 rules to rock and roll. And somewhere down there, like 11 or 12, it says rock stars are not actors, actors are not rock stars. That article was written around this time. I don't know if it was influenced by this or by all of this happening, but you had there was this time in the 70s and 80s where a lot of actors, from Joni and Chachi to Don Johnson, everybody was releasing albums and everybody was in movies. And not movies. When the rock stars would do movies, they weren't doing like documentaries or they weren't making guest appearances as themselves. They were playing roles. They were being legitimate actors. Mick Jagger did a movie called Free Jack. It was bad. If you know any of those guys that do, there's that Movies with Mark, weird movies with Mark, that he should check out Free Jack. That is it's absolutely horrible. And that's Phil Collins. Again, not Kira Sedgwick. That's actually Phil Collins. He was in a movie called Buster, and it was not good. It was not good at all. But I think he also did multiple runs on this show as well.
I mean, I was never going to deal any coke. I mean, it just isn't my line at all.
Yeah? Well, what were you going to do with the money when you got it?
Hey.
Is that Kira Sedgwick?
I mean, I was never going to deal any coke. I mean, I would have to maybe go to the IMDb page to see if maybe that's where the screw up is. And again, maybe the guy who made this video, and I'll post the link to it in the description, it's from a channel called Miami Vice. So I would think that, they would know who's been in their show and who hasn't been in their shows. That's not Kira. That's not Kira Sedgwick, is it? No, I think it was just an editing mistake. It just
has
isn't
to
my
be.
line at all.
Yeah? Well, what were you going to do with the money when you got it?
Hey, dealing with money's never been one of my problems.
Definitely Miami.
Is he already oiled up? Is the Nuge already oiled?
Definitely Miami.
The Nuge is already oiled.
How's the eye?
Hardly shows now.
And he's a wife beater. See, now you know he's the bad guy. He's shirtless, he's already oiled, and he hits his wife.
Did you make it with him?
See, this isn't... Did you make it with him? So bad.
No.
Tell you what, I think he's gotten better because the role he's in now as crazy old white guy, he's nailing. So maybe this kind of helped.
Wouldn't. It's kind of old-fashioned.
Why are you oiled? To be fair, though, it is Miami, and if you've grown up in Florida, if you know anything about Florida, you do sweat pretty much all the time.
Well, sometimes the low road can take you places that...
Red-headed stranger. He played an old con man, that's right. Look at the hair. Okay. The only people that had that hair in the 80s, to be honest, was Don Johnson, the guy from Kajagoogoo, Rod Stewart, and white British women over the age of 45. It's the only people who had that hair, honestly. It might have worked for him. Who else had that? Somebody else had that was rocking. But yeah, it was pretty much Kajagoogoo, Rod Stewart, Don Johnson had that hair.
Where's this meet gonna take place? Wrote it down over there on a pad.
All the pastels. I forgot how many pastels were in this show. Everything is pastel. Even the writing. It's a muted color, by the way. Did Willie just blackjack Sonny Crockett? He did. Just a shootout. I mean, that's how mindless this show is. Just so dumb. Oh, if I'm not mistaken, that is either... That's Miles Davis. I remember this episode. There's Edward James.
Miles Davis.
So crazy you could afford to turn out Rosia? You'd be interested in that.
He's a pimp.
So what do you want?
Shoulder pads, too, by the way. That was very big in the 80s. Everybody had shoulder pads. I had shoulder pads. Everybody had shoulder pads. Every jacket, every shirt. I think white T-shirts came with shoulder pads in the 80s. I could be wrong, but I think they did.
Where and how he moves his drugs. Then I want you to bring in one of our men with you.
And you'll cover me with the girl?
Oh, so there it is. No, that's a Ferrari, too. That's a white Ferrari. Is it Barbra Streisand? That's Barbra Streisand doing a walkthrough. This is the first I've seen this. That's not. Is that really her? That's random. That is the most random thing ever right there. That Barbra Streisand did a walkthrough at the height of the Rose and, Star is Born and all that stuff. That's right when she was becoming the queen of gay guys.
Are you sure this is the address?
I'd be glad to autograph it. Meet it after
We know who this is.
Thank you.
Hey, Lou, my man. Hey, I'm Rico Cooper. This is my first time being here.
I predict you won't be able to understand a damn thing this guy says.
I'm impressed. Hey, and this is my partner, Sonny Burnett. Hey, this.
Nice to meet you. We have a mutual friend, Trudy Joplin. She told us to look you up.
Trudy Joplin? I don't know no Trudy Joplin. There are a lot of friends I have of female persuasion.
You mean to tell
So
me you
bad.
didn't take Trudy Joplin with you to a club last night?
This is why Eddie Murphy's impression of him was so funny, because it was so on. Just go look up James Brown Hot Tub.
Sad to say, man. But I spent my night in the arms of a easy chair.
And so when an act is in a club rehearsing or getting ready, the lights aren't on like that. That's very, but it was Miami Vice, so everything had to be this way, neon and pastel and whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Now that was the thing between these two guys. Philip Michael Thomas, Tubbs, always wore jacket tie. Crockett always had the business casual. Look at that fucking hair, man. And, okay, black guys, can we get back to good... You guys can do so much with your hair. Get back to these things. Come on. Enough with the shaving of the head. Get back to the 80s, 90s black guy hair. I want to see some high fades. I want to see more fades, please. Give me a Gumby cut. I don't care. Fiona.
Don't take off.
Fiona Flanagan.
It's quicker than post and bail.
Oh, she had a couple of hits. I wouldn't call her a rock star. I wouldn't call her a rock star. She had like one or two hits, if that.
I'm not gonna bust you.
But she was... There was another reason for her fame, and I can't remember
Now
what
we
it
get
was.
to the big surprise. One day, my man Maroto...
That look right there. This guy. This look right here. Boom. Every dude rocked that in the 80s. Tried to, anyway, in some shape or in some way or shape or form. We were rocking the members-only coat or the linen coat with the T-shirt and the baggies, tight rolled at the bottom, of course.
sends for the police officer who arrested him. They talk briefly, and then
Frank.
guess what? Maroto kills himself.
Legit actor, though.
You know what I think? I think Maroto told the cop about my money.
It should really come as a surprise to you that out of all of these 20 rock stars that were on Miami Vice, this guy might have pulled it off better than anybody. Frank Zappa may have performed better than anybody. And if you've ever read, listened to, or watched any Mothers of Invention or any Frank Zappa, Dweezil, Moon Unit, whatever, you'll know that this guy's performance art epitomized. So it's not really surprising that Frank Zappa pulled this off better than the other rock stars. It really shouldn't be a surprise.
So I look everywhere for this slimeball cop. His name is Crockett. Then I found something out. A bigger surprise. There's a guy, his name is Burnett, a two-bit player looking to get into the weasel dust industry.
I was into it there for a second. Sorry, but weasel dust. Okay. He's doing the best he can with what he's handed on the paper, I'm sure, but weasel dust, I mean, come on.
I found out that Burnett and Crockett are the same guy.
He nailed it, dude. He nailed it. That was well done. That was well done. Frank Zappa, good for him. And I think his kid was on, I think he worked on Don Johnson's album. Frank did, and I think his son, Dweezil, did.
I want my $3 million, Crockett. It's mine.
Finally, somebody figured it out. Finally, it took Frank Zappa to figure out that the white guy and the black guy driving around in the Ferrari with the crocodile in the boat are undercover cops. Good to see.
You look so relaxed.
Nothing ever changes, JT.
Actually, it's Duran Duran, because Robert Palmer's at this point is not with them. So this is a power station. This is a side project of the band Duran Duran and Robert Palmer. But at this point, Robert Palmer wasn't with him. I think...
well, that's not true. We just got a new singer.
There you go.
Never
Okay.
noticed. It's mine.
I want to make sure I get this right.
Relaxed.
Nothing ever changes, JT.
Well, that's not true. We just got a new singer. You never noticed the difference. Hey.
That's Michael Debars. Michael Debars.
Dude.
You gonna stick
Right?
around?
Yeah, I'll be here.
I think
Right now, brother.
it is. Okay.
Oh, hello. Look, my car was hit in the parking lot.
So,
by a black Maserati with your
this guy
license
here, Michael Debars. I knew that. Okay. Michael Debars replaced Robert Palmer in the power station. I think it was before Live Aid. It was before they played Live Aid. Again, that was something else that if you don't know anything about, Live Aid, We Are the World, also massive. I might do a video on that as well, because that video was massive. Well, Michael Debars was in a band called Checkered Past, and the checkered was spelled with a Q, like the British way, Checkered Past. And he wrote and recorded a song. I can't remember the lady's name that he recorded it with, but they recorded a song called Obsession that was later covered by Animotion and was made a #1 hit. And then Michael Debars replaced Robert Palmer in Power Station because Checkered Past opened for Duran Duran in 1983, on their 83 tour. And that's when Power Station needed a new lead singer. That's when they reached out to Michael Debars, and Michael Debars took over. And he's also, if you see him now, like if you Google him now and see his face, he's going to be that guy to you. You're going to go, I've seen him in things. Now, the greatest piece of Michael Debars trivia I know, he portrayed the lead singer of a band called Scum of the Earth in an episode of WKRP in Cincinnati, where the guys from the radio station and the band fought backstage because the band, Scum of the Earth, led by Michael Debars, did not want to go on stage because they hated Americans. And they even said it in the interview with Dr. Johnny Fever. He said something like, do you have a message for your listeners? Do you have a message for your fans? And Michael Debars leans into the microphone and he says, we hate you and we want to beat you up. It's exactly what he said. And it was a great episode, but that's the bizarre Michael Debars trivia I have for you. And yes, he was obviously on Miami Vice. But yeah, Scum of the Earth.
I did actually, yes.
What's
It's
his name?
B7C302.
Maybe? But yeah, that's who Michael Debars, and again, he's but very established. Very established artist and musician.
Love Cinder anymore.
Feeling anything from those oysters yet?
I feel pretty good, Crockett. Must be the salt air ripping through my
Sheena
face
Easton.
at 60 miles an hour.
This right here was the beginning of an arc for Don Johnson.
Your idea to come here by boat.
True. Fair, that's a speciality of yours.
This was, and
What's that?
Taking girls.
I don't
out
want to
dancing
get this
and getting
wrong.
them wet.
I fear I might get it wrong. If I'm not mistaken, I've said that quite a few times in this video. If I'm not mistaken, they dated in real life. I think prior to her being on this show. But this whole season, there was an arc of them and their relationship. And I again, I'm sorry that I know this, but I don't know if I know it as clearly as I think I do. I think she was murdered. Right? Like, I think they kind of ripped off, I think it was around the same time, or I don't know what it was, but it was very Lethal Weapon 2. Yeah, with the South Africans and Patsy Kensit, the blonde that Riggs was dating and was murdered by the diplomatic immunity. It's been revoked. Yeah, I don't know which one came first, the chicken or that egg, but that was this storyline of Crockett and Sheena
Is
Easton.
everything of yours that fast?
I think they were dating in real life.
Your car, your clothes. When do you find time to play cops and robbers?
Did they do a song together? I would have to research that. Maybe I've blocked it.
Play.
Anderson, you can call
Why
the
so
A team
serious?
out. It's all over now.
Gentlemen, all clear.
Harry Shearer.
Looks like
Nice.
our friend Paco is cowed by all the noise and split.
I don't even have to
What is it
explain
with
to you
this
who Harry Shearer is. I wouldn't really call him a rock star. He does have a musical background, but I wouldn't really call him a rock star.
Monte Cristo.
I think that's Chris Penn. I think that's Chris Penn. Well, all right. Jan Hammer, by the way. Jan Hammer doing that intro. I want to thank the guys over at Miami Vice for posting that video. It was interesting. 20 rock stars who appeared on Miami Vice. A couple of them, again, Harry Shearer, Sheena Easton. I wouldn't really call them rock stars, but I guess at this point in history, once you're on Miami Vice, you're kind of a rock star. If you're a musician and you go on Miami Vice, it was almost like in the 90s when bands were featured on Beavis and Butthead. You know, how were you featured? But this was the beginning of the relationship between music and television. As far as the fashion of it. Does that make sense? Maybe you had to be there to really understand what was going on, but again, I say this with all due respect. I think a lot of people have overlooked the impact that the TV show Miami Vice had, as far as culturally, musically, entertainment-wise, fashion-wise, just a lot of stuff. Awareness to, because again, on a serious side note, this was also the rise. This was during the time of the Cocaine Cowboys, when drug running, Scarface had been released. Not a lot of people knew prior to the show Miami Vice the concept of Miami being a hot spot for narcotics trafficking. No one thought of that. It was nothing but retirees and old people. That's the only thing that was in Miami. This show was, of course, it jumped on that, but it really, I don't know if it helped Miami. Like, I don't know if it brought so much awareness to the problem that they were having that it did anything to curb the tide. I doubt it. Maybe it did. I don't know. But it did get a lot of white dudes walking around with baggy pants and tank tops and members-only jackets. I don't blame Don Johnson for members-only jackets. I blame him for making them more popular than they needed to be. So those are my thoughts on the 20 rock stars that appeared on Miami Vice. If you have a video or a story you want me to react to, something you want me to talk about, by all means, make sure you're linked up with me on social media so you can give me the link, you can give me the idea, whatever it is you need to do, get a hold of me. That way I can move forward and make one of these really cool videos. I want to thank Rick for sending me down the rabbit hole and finding this video. I hope it was enjoyable enough for you. Again,
I play requests, but I don't play requests if you understand that radio jargon. I also want to thank my sponsors for making sure this video is possible. Aspen Dental in Madison, Dr. David Zeman and his staff. I also want to thank Rick and the gang at Connect 200 for making sure I'm able to watch these videos, record them, and get them to you. Follow me on all of my social media. Make sure you are linked up with me there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you can get your updates. You can get the notification when I drop a new hot, steamy one. You can help the channel grow. I'm never going to ask you for money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to hit me up and I need donations, I need all that. No, all you got to do is subscribe. Real simple. Easier than my sister. I got two sisters. I let them figure out which one I'm talking about. But again, I say it every time, and I mean it every time. Make sure you're looking out for each other. Make sure you're looking out for your neighbor. Try to do at least one good thing a day. I'm Eric Clark, and this has been The Wild Side.